What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Christmas and the holidays. But really, what we're doing here is just sharing a little bit of time with a buddy of mine, and that is David from David's Book Reviews. So, over the last couple weeks, David and I have been just kind of slowly reading through Nosferatu by Joe Hill. Now, this was actually, a planned buddy read, so it was something that was actually kind of fun for me and David to do since this is, David was the first person to subscribe to my channel as well as watch my videos. So this was just kind of nice to do a collaboration with a friend, from the community. And yeah, so things will be a little bit different here. And, well, hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's talk to David.
Hi guys, my name is David from David's Book Reviews and hope that everyone is having a Merry Christmas. So I have been a fan of Slowly Read's channel for a while now. I was in fact his very first subscriber. Ever since I watched his review on June, I've been hooked on his channel. He does talk a lot about grimdark books and yes, it is a bit overwhelming, you never know where to start. But I love his channel so much, his personality and the way he describes books and his passion for them shines right through in all of his videos. So for the past couple of weeks now, me and Mark from Slowly Read have been buddy reading Joe Hill's Nosferatu. And this is his first time reading it, and this is my second time reading this book. This was a very fun buddy read, and we were talking back and forth, and I was giving him my thoughts and he was giving me his opinions about the book and some theories about connections between Stephen King's work and Joe Hill's novel, because Joe Hill and Stephen King are father and son. And now a little bit about my channel. It's a lot different than Slowly Read's. He focuses mostly on one genre for most of his videos, but for me, I talk about a wide variety of genres. I talk about horror, science fiction, fantasy, classics, children's literature, non-fiction sometimes, and I talk about tag videos. I have started to actually do vlogs, so my channel is a bit open-ended. So please do not forget to check out my review on Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I'm sure that Mark will have it in his description somewhere, so please check out my video. And lastly, thank you so much for doing this buddy read with me, Mark, and thank you so much for having my video clip on your channel. So, back to you, Mark.
Well, alright. Thanks, David. Alright, guys. So, basically, like we were just saying, we're just trying to bring something a little festive to you guys here over the holidays. I certainly understand that some people could use that extra cheer. So, this thing is really just, a little piece of fun for everyone to enjoy. Let's get into it. So Nosferatu is kind of like a Christmas horror story, even though a lot of it doesn't really take place around Christmas time. Though the theme of Christmas land is very heavy here, so I feel like that just kind of is what makes it a Christmas tale. When the story opens up, we follow a very strange character known as Charlie Manx, who is in a hospital. He's basically a vegetable. He's in a coma, I believe, and what happens is we see him kind of wake up. He startles a nurse, but most people just kind of aren't really believing her that he snapped out of his coma because, like I said, he's a vegetable. It's just like the dude ain't making a comeback. But then the story will, flash back in time, and I've got to admit, the story kind of did confuse me at first with some of these hops, but we'll go from Charlie Manx, the strange character of Charlie Manx, and we'll flash back in time, and we'll pick up with what is our protagonist, and this is a young girl known as Vic McQueen. Now, throughout the story, Vic will get older, and we will basically kind of pick up with her as a woman and a mother, but early in the story, this is a very important kind of part. Like, her past and her connections with Charlie Manx is what pushing the present story forward. We will kind of see that Vic is not like other kids. She's got kind of like a special ability. One night, basically, she finds out that she can pedal her bike across this bridge, and it will bring her to what she is trying to find. Essentially, she can locate whatever she wants by crossing this bridge on her bike. So, like I said, this is a little confusing at first because it's not really fleshed out and explaining it all bit for bit. You're just trying to kind of absorb it and understand it just as much as this little girl, Vic McQueen, is trying to understand it. Now, as we pop back and forth along the timelines, we'll also pick up amongst another perspective, one of Bing. Now, Bing is. He's just not right. He's not right in the head. He has a very sinister backstory, and his future is only going to get darker. Now, Bing is basically brought under the care of Charlie Manx. Like, Charlie Manx got him under his wing, so to speak. And Charlie Manx will manipulate Bing into believing a certain situation and the role that Bing needs to play in that situation. And it is kind of dastardly because, in a way, it's like, man, Charlie Manx does put a good spin on things. I mean, as a reader, and we live in the real world, you can see, you can see the craziness. But it is like, at the same time, if you put yourself in Bing's shoes, when we get to his perspective, it's like, yes, he is doing horrible shit, but he also kind of believes that he is like preventing an even worse horror. As we push forward through the story, we'll see that Vic has become a woman. She's become a mother. And, we can also see that Vic, though she would love for all of her troubles to be maybe just a bad dream, something that just never actually existed, well, they're about to come a knocking, and the reality is they did happen. And she's going to have to face all this shit right now. So first thing I really want to get into is just kind of like the feeling, the tone, the vibe of this book, because it is a horror novel, and there definitely is a lot of like scary stuff in there. But it's also kind of at times like it just seems very cartoonish and very silly, maybe almost like a little over the top. I'm not sure if that might be something that he was shooting for, but there's a lot of weird little themes here that it's like it still comes off as like this scary stuff, but it's also kind of has that like Nightmare Before Christmas feel a lot of the times. One of the things that I actually was kind of impressed with the book was just Joe Hill's ability to paint a scene. Some of these like scenes were very like visceral. You could really just like capture yourself in that moment. As well as just some of the settings. I would say that Charlie Manx's sleigh house, that whole setting, that whole deal was awesome. I loved the way that whole thing got described, and that like progressively got described. Like when Vic rolls in and what she thinks she sees is polka dot streamers hanging from the ceiling, only to later find out. So yes, I mean, like Joe Hill he has a very cool way of capturing a scene, even if that scene is like listening to the radio or watching the Christmas commercial stuff. I just felt like that really I was really able to capture what he was throwing at me in those moments. Another really fun thing about this book is really just all the like cap tipping that Joe Hill did to his dad, Stephen King, throughout this book. There are so many connections to Stephen King's work in here. In fact, I'd say like maybe there's a possibility that Joe Hill referenced or made some kind of connection to everything that his dad did. It's just like, and it's noticeable. Like I started noticing it a little bit here and there, but like throughout it was just like, boom, there's another one. Boom, there's another one. And so it kind of like along the ride, it just kind of does become this like little Easter egg hunt along with the story. Now the characters in the book are kind of what both shined and kind of killed this book a little bit for me. So I'm going to just start with the good. Like I said, I liked Bing. I liked the character of Bing because he was terrifying. He was believably terrifying. Like I could see this dude out there, this like Renfield of Charlie Manx's, like just scooping up fucking kids and doing horrible shit to their parents. I mean, honestly, like Bing will make your stomach turn, and it's like it's not something like, oh, I'm just reveling in like his dirty deeds, but I just like I'm always like I tip the cap to authors that can do that to me, because as an adult and also somebody that just is like a connoisseur of the dark and dastardly, that kind of stuff, when my stomach or just I just don't maybe feel right inside, I'm like, all right. Another character I really enjoyed, though she makes one hell of an entrance and is just a very eccentric, just, in your face character, and that was Maggie. And Maggie will bring a lot of like insight to what the fuck is going on. Honestly, I feel like that I liked her character so much just because she was cluing me in to the stuff that I was like just kind of like pounding the fucking walls going, what the fuck is going on? And Maggie enlightened me, and I think for that reason alone, I really loved her character. But then not just that, she really does have like characteristics that are really are just ones that I like. I have a soft spot for. Ultimately, she's a junkie, and there's like the stuff that has to do with Maggie, I just can get behind. I really appreciate characters like Maggie. Her stutter might be a little cringy to read, but I mean, I think in reality, it's just one of those things that just kind of carves her out a little bit more unique from other characters. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to go into like the majority and like really the main characters, which I just didn't like. And I know a lot of people are going to like Vic McQueen because she's a badass chick, right? Tattooed and just, tough cookie. But I felt like that was just like that was kind of it though, right? Like that it was like she was displayed too much as that. I didn't buy it. It felt like it was forced. And it also, I understand there's a lot of time jumps, but and it's good that Joe Hill can nail down these specific things that feel right to that time. But throughout reading this book, and this book is a little, several years old now too, but there's just so much about this that felt dated, and not just with what was going on, but with these characters. It was just like, but maybe that's just how they act in that time. Like I said, I felt like Vic McQueen's everything that should be cool about Vic McQueen didn't feel real or right to me. It just felt forced. I did not believe Vic McQueen. I actually like her love interest, Lou. I kind of like Lou, and I felt horrible for Lou just because it's just constantly thrown out there. It was like, oh, this fat piece of shit, fat tubby, blah, blah. It's like, damn, dude. But once again, even he felt a little forced, almost. Just it was like a little bit more of the extremes with him, right? And their son, their kid named Bruce Wayne. Like, this is the thing that was like made to. I get it. It's cool. But at the same time, it makes it very cartoonish. And that was the thing, whereas like a lot of this stuff in here was just over the top, which kind of pulled it away from being like just that much more dark and dastardly and scary. And then that brings me down to like the fucking main bad guy, Charlie Manx. Like some of the like aspects of Charlie Manx are scary, but realistically in the end, I'm just not that scared of Charlie Manx. I was way more scared of Charlie Manx's car and of Bing than I was of actually scared of Charlie Manx. And oh man. The other thing being is just like Charlie Manx, in a way, maybe he's not even a bad guy. Maybe he's somebody that through his circumstance, maybe he abused a certain something, and it just, ran him ragged and turned him into somebody that is soulless. But one way or another, this is one of those things where one could easily argue that from, Charlie Manx's perspective, he is not the bad guy. And now, before you guys start clicking on your keyboards, which is fine, if you want to throw some hate in the comments, do it. But, before you get all mad about my Vic McQueen hatred or whatever, it's just, like I said, this is the dated feeling, and maybe if I would have read this book right when it came out, it would have been certainly different. But because the way things are today, because the way that things have just advanced so much in technology, there was just things that were hard for me to suspend. Like, this whole thing with Vic and just like trying to not believe that she can like use this bridge and she has this power. that it's not real. Must be a dream, you know what I mean? Or that even when she does kind of believe it, that she was like too scared to show anybody. And I kind of understand but that doesn't really play out no more, right? Like in all reality, it'd be like, Vic McQueen would be a kid with a YouTube channel. She'd be like, hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Vic McQueen. Check this out. And it's, like across the bridge, showing us everything that she can do. The powers would be showed off, and she'd have her own show. Well, I guess she did get her own show. Huh. So all I'm trying to get at here is that, there was obviously some problems for me throughout the book, but I also enjoyed it. There were plenty of things there that I did like. But I think it's important for me to be critical and objective while reading stuff. Because I choose certain books on purpose because I know that I'm most likely going to enjoy them. And that's why a lot of my reviews will be like praiseworthy reviews. You don't see me beat up a lot of books, but it's also because I stay so strictly and rigid within my wheelhouse. So I was really glad to actually be able to step outside a little bit, even though horror is still very much within my realm. It was nice to step out a little bit, though, into this, because this is like a festive read and stuff. It was very fun to do this with my friend David. You know what I mean? Like, for me, this book definitely presented some problems, but for somebody like David, this presents nothing but, like, presents. This is literally like a present on Christmas morning to David. His eyes light up, and he enjoys it. Oh, does he enjoy it? So as far as my 2 cents for the slow and the struggling, I don't think that Joe Hill has anything here that presents too much of a problem for you. It is kind of a lengthy novel for a horror read, at least the ones that I've cracked into. I haven't really read that much Stephen King, so maybe kind of in air of like his dad, he goes for the longer page count, longer word count. But definitely, this thing, it's not written so crazy that it's going to lose you. I would say that the flashbacks in the beginning are what probably present the biggest problem as far as following the narrative. But I do also believe that regardless, no matter how lost you are, Maggie got your back. So if you don't know what's going on, by the time you get to Maggie, she'll straighten you out. And so, yeah, guys, I just think it is definitely worth your time. If you're looking for something that's scary, it's definitely got that, like, sinister, scary, like, thriller vibe to it. But it also has, like I said, like, a festive feel as well because of these, like, this Christmas land stuff and, Bing's, like, just obsession with Christmas. And just, yes. So if you're looking for something that's got that horror thriller vibe but also has some Christmassy stuff, this would be a great thing to pick up here for the holidays. All right, guys. As always, thanks for spending some time down here at the channel. And to Joe Hill, Akadesh, big old thumbs up. Thanks for creating some weird, crazy shit, man. I honestly still chewing on it a little bit. All right? Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, the rest of you guys, man, hey. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever the hell you celebrate. If you got a fucking lamb sacrifice you got going here at midnight, you know what I mean? Hasha. Celebrate whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. Just, be merry with it. That's all I'm asking. And if you're new, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. And maybe, I'm going to need that for money to, admit myself to the fucking loony bin. Anyway, guys, as always, peace.